The following program is rated PG-13. Parental supervision is advised.
All right. Let me get my clothes on here. Put my pants on. All right. Nobody's naked, right? All right.
Poseidon, the ruler of the seas and all that dwell within them. His rule over the oceans is unquestioned. There are those who serve him with tridents and with infinite knowledge of all things submarine. They are known by many names: coners, weaponeers, the merry men of Sherwood Forest. But by Poseidon himself, they are called the Subvets.
Console, not crazy, Ivan.
All stop, get quiet.
All stop, aye. Answers all stop. Freeze rudder, aye.
What's going on, Jonesy? Russian captains sometimes turn suddenly to see if anyone's behind them. We call it crazy Ivan. Only thing you can do is go dead, shut everything down, and make like a hole in the water.
The Trident submarine, the most powerful weapon known to man. And I clean it.
Man, battle stations missile for WSRT. Spin up all missiles.
That sounds real, almost.
Don't it? I knew this thing would come in handy. I got it for like $10 at Kohl's.
Wow.
It's kind of fun yelling at people in traffic, too.
Makes you feel better.
Yeah. Hey, get out of my way! It's kind of like this.
Hey, move over! Why don't you get your driver's license?
Well,
And then, they call the cops on your cell phone. When I do that, everybody all of a sudden got their cell phone up. So I'm assuming they're calling the cops on me. But it's fun. It's real fun.
you can always claim to be an angry veteran, right?
That's right.
PTSD.
I'm angry.
Welcome back,
Plenty of stuff to
everybody.
be angry about.
It is the Sub Vet. I'm Dave.
And I'm Eric.
And
We're
are
the
your
sub vets.
submarine experts, as it were.
Yeah, submariners.
There's a lot to talk about, although it doesn't seem like it, but I'm not sure where we stand on World War III. As I understand it, the Ukrainians are now saying that this will start tomorrow, although tomorrow there is today here. But I haven't really seen anything about Russian tanks rolling into Ukraine yet. Have you?
No. And I posted an article sounding like they played us, like they built all that up and they're like, psych. And
That's certainly an option, but why would you do that? I mean, that's the question. Why would you do that?
Well, there's a lot of corruption going on, Dave, that I don't really want to talk about, but just think about it. There's a lot of corruption in other governments. And
Well, I get that, but I mean, this is what I've been saying all along. You're Vladimir Putin. Okay, just pretend for a minute that you're Vladimir Putin. So you're going to go through all this, and then back away at the last second. But what are you telling your people? Are you going to pull a Kim Jong whoever and say, yes, I scared them into giving me what I wanted, knowing full well that you didn't get anything of what you wanted? In point of fact, from what I've seen today, Ukraine is like that much closer to joining NATO now. So what did you accomplish other than spending a hell of a lot of rubles to move pieces around the board?
didn't he annex a couple places?
He did that in 2014.
Yeah, I thought they just did it again, like a couple more chunks of Ukraine. They just
they're calling
today.
for it. No, the Duma, the Russian legislature, is calling for that, but they haven't done it. I mean,
they haven't done it yet, huh?
I don't know. This is what I hate about this crap. Is now it sounds like I'm disappointed. I'm advocating for a war, and I'm not. That's not what I'm doing. But if I'm Vladimir Putin, why the hell do you put everybody through this and then go, just kidding. JK, as the kids say.
But Vladimir Putin doesn't have the capability of fighting all of NATO, without nuclear weapons anyway.
But that's what he said. That's what he said yesterday in this bizarre rant that he gave. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but he went on a rant yesterday where he talked about the fact that we don't have the strength to fight NATO. We're not as strong as NATO in some ways, but in some ways we're stronger than you. And one of those ways he went out of his way to point out is we have nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. And I said to a good friend of mine, the Milsurp writer, sent him a text going, every SSBN that we have just got orders to sortie because this guy is now threatening nuclear war.
Mm-hmm. That's what he did. But what about the super secret stuff? I mean, you remember the USS Donald Cook? I don't know how many years ago. They flew one of their planes over with electronic warfare, and they basically disabled all their computers. It was a big hoo-ha, and they said some officers submitted their resignations right there because they're so scared. And I mean, it was probably, I don't know, propaganda. I don't remember if it was our side to print up it. No, I posted an article about it today, matter of fact, on the Facebook group. It's on there about the Donald Cook.
Boy,
you have to Google that. Yeah, the incident with the Donald Cook.
Yes, I missed that one. I don't know. I do know
you gotta check that out.
Yeah, I do know that there's the big news, of course, in the submarine world right now is the Russians are accusing us of sending a submarine close to one of the Kuril Islands, and that they, quote, detected said submarine. Let's read. Russian officials claimed on Sunday that a U.S. Navy Virginia-class submarine was found in Russian territorial waters near the Kuril Islands a day earlier. Submarine was reportedly detected by Russian anti-submarine forces. The coordinates of the U.S. Navy boat were then transmitted to a group of Russian Navy warships, including the Marshal Shaposhnikov. And apparently they claim they claim that it was detected by an Ilyushin 38 Naval Aviation Patrol aircraft and one of their own submarines of the Pacific Fleet during drills on the search and elimination of hypothetical enemy submarines. This, according to TASS, the Soviet news agency TASS. Those of you that are my age will remember that and get that little joke. The Russian defense minister said that the American submarine was sent the message, "You are in Russian territorial waters, surface immediately," to which the Virginia-class submarine said,
"Surface who?"
Didn't say anything. They
didn't say nothing.
Because
somebody talking to us? I didn't hear nothing.
Here's the question. The United States Navy, of course, says that it didn't happen. So what do you think happened? Did it happen? Did we send a submarine into the Kuril Islands, which, for those of you who may not be familiar, are north of Japan, and the particular island in question is on the southeastern side of the Sea of Okhotsk. Or Otosk.
I don't know, Dave. I mean, do you spend billions and billions of dollars on submarines and you don't go spy on your potential enemies? I mean, or you just do circles in the ocean with them?
Well, here's the thing with all this, and that is that it's a technicality. It's a legal technicality. Right. They said that they detected the submarine 12 miles outside off the island. The United States has always recognized the 12-mile limit as legal, or whatever it is. The Russians,
other countries don't.
No, they want much more. So if we were 12 miles or more off, then we're going to look at that and go, screw you, we're fine. But I have bigger questions about whether or not the Russians actually detected this is the story that I read, and I have questions. Number one, how do they know it was a Virginia-class submarine? If they even detected it, How do I know that they detected it? Now, I intellectually, I know
how many Los Angeles class submarines to Virginia class do we have? I mean, do they got like a 1 out of 3 chance or 2 out of 3 chance?
Got to be close to that. It's got to be close to that. But I get it. Okay, Virginia class submarines are going to have a different audio signature than an LA class, but is it that likely? I mean, I don't. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm a sonar expert. I wish I was. Maybe some other people can weigh in on that with us. But number one, it seems suspicious to me because this is the kind of thing that TASS and the Soviets used to do. Oh, let's just announce that we found a submarine. Let's just put out a press release that we found a submarine and told them to surface, and they ignored us, those little so-and-sos. Yeah. Let's just put that out there and see what happens, because the Navy's going to say, no, you didn't.
Well, they're renowned for PSYOP stuff, too. I mean, it seems like we don't tend to do it. And if we do, I mean, nobody knows about it. It's not like it gets announced like Russia announces all their stuff.
Well, here's the
thing. If we heard one of their submarines, we're not going to say nothing. Usually we don't even report it.
And that goes back to the big boomer question of the 60s and 70s and even into the 80s. Okay, we have this unwritten rule that you keep your boomers, your ballistic missile submarines, at least 500 miles off our coast. So we do that, they do that. Mm-hmm. What happens if we find a Russian boomer 250 miles from the coast? Number one, do we say anything? Because if we say something, then they know that they've... Okay, so if I manage to find a Virginia-class submarine and I'm a Russian, do I really put out a press release saying, we found your submarine? Or do I just say...
Well, was it Russia directly? I mean, was it TASS that did it?
Oh, TASS is the Soviet news agency.
TASS. Yeah, then it was probably the military that did it.
Yeah, the Russian Navy put out this press release, and I'm like, is that really what you do? That doesn't make sense to me. I'm questioning that because, again, if I find them, especially as close as they claim that we were, why would I tell you that? Why wouldn't I just say, let's put that one in the back pocket because now we know how to find them. And we shouldn't tell them that. See, this goes back. This is why we're called the silent service, right? Way back in World War II, we were pulling one over on the Japanese. They were setting their depth charges too shallow. And somebody told a congressperson that, and that congressperson turned around and told the media, which then printed it in the newspapers, which the Japanese then read and started setting their depth charges deeper. This is why we don't talk about these things. So if this story to me smacks of propaganda. I mean, it really does. Number one, how would they even know it was Virginia class? But number two, if you did find one that close to quote unquote sensitive military spot, why would you say anything?
I'm just more posturing. I mean, look what he's doing with Ukraine. But basically, he said that he's pulling back. Whether he does or not, I don't know. But he's got a lot. You're right. He's got a lot of hardware, and then they throw in the submarine thing, and heck, they might throw in a couple more things. Who knows? I mean, we got another 24 hours until World War III starts.
Well, less than that because again, the 16th
it was tomorrow, right?
There tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. It's already
so. Yeah. Now I understand that there's been some cyber attacks going on. That at one point, at least portions of
DDS
your lost power. DDS stuff. So I don't know, man. I'm weirded out by this story because also Putin in his rant yesterday made an allusion to the fact that enemy ships at sea are now targets if this really happens. Meaning that our Navy, wherever they are, is at war, regardless of what's going on. And, that makes me nervous. It does. I have the utmost confidence in the submarine fleet. I really do. But there's a part of me that still worries about it. I mean, this is.
How about all those people that are, you got all those people tracking NATO aircraft online, because they got their what is it, friend and foe? What's this squawker? Yeah, it's why if you're at war, you're potentially at war. Why would you even be identifying yourself?
I don't know. That's the part that's weird to me, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah, so it's even weird for us. I mean, we're flying our stuff around. I mean, we're flying tankers. You can see them online, and other military aircraft going in with arms.
Warship cam
report by that. Yeah,
warship cam all over the place. Now, I'll be honest with you. This is something that I struggle with because even on the Facebook page, I will post pictures from warship cam that I think are interesting, particularly of submarines coming and going. And boy, does that set off the argument every time I post one, doesn't it? I mean, people are like, "Whoa, what happened to OPSEC?" Well, it's on the
OPSEC's already been compromised. I don't have a warship con.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. It ain't me.
I mean, I'm just showing you a picture of the. I guess it could be faked. I mean, it was cool sitting here yesterday because San Diego webcam, which is the greatest webcam in the world. I don't get anything from these people, but if you're like me and you get to the point where you're just like, I need a break, go to YouTube and just look up San Diego webcam. Put it on the big screen, go full screen on it, and just sit there and watch San Diego for an hour. It's great. But yesterday, an LA class comes in, turns around, does a PERS trans, and heads back out.
Heads back out, yeah.
And, I mean, is it OPSEC when you can stand at Cabrillo National Monument and watch it happening?
Yeah, I mean, that's how you saw USS Connecticut come in.
Mm-hmm. I assume.
I mean, warfare's changed with that. I mean, that wasn't how many years you got to go back for the webcams were like that? 15 years, maybe. I mean, that wasn't even something commanders had to even worry about.
Right.
Not in our day, that's for sure.
Now, I'm sure that if there's actual war, the Navy, the government's going to step up and go, you know what? You need to shut that off, or we'll shut it off for you. I would assume so.
It would make sense that they just shut it off for them because I don't think people are going to just do it if they get told to.
But then again, Eric, what's the chance that the United States government is looking at this going, hey, they want to know what's happening? Let's give them something to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like yesterday when the Theodore Roosevelt and the Nimitz both pulled into San Diego, like an hour apart from each other. Let's give them something to watch. How do I know that that's really
that way? Well, we're not even worried about you. Our carriers are pulling in. Guys,
but how do I know that that's really happening? How do I know that that's not just old video that they're just refeeding to this thing?
It's true. It's a whole different warfare dynamic.
That's a plot right out of Tom Clancy books.
Sure is.
So I don't know.
Crazy to think about.
I don't know. So do you think? Do you think they found the Virginia-class submarine off the Kurile Islands? Do you believe that?
No, I don't believe that. I think they just had a good chance of saying Virginia-class. And plus, that's our newest boat or fast attack out there, so why not say that?
Right. Do you think they found anything at all?
No.
So they're just making...
I don't think they've... Well, they might have found. I mean, there's more submarines in the water than just us. They might have found somebody. There's a lot of other players out there operating. I mean, we've already shown that on the Facebook group. So, especially in that region, you got a lot of players out there. China being one of them. I mean, China's got more submarines than everybody.
Wouldn't that be funny if it was Chinese?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I had this rule back when I was a young lad, and I grew up in the 70s as a teenager and then the 80s in the Navy. And my rule was anything that started with the Soviet news agency TASS reported that, ... I just assumed that it was a lie. I just assumed it was complete nonsense. And I'm still kind of there right now. I
remember when I was running the sub report back in 2005 when we were doing a whole blogging thing. TASS is what I used when what was it? They had like a research sub or something, got caught up in some cables. You remember that? And they were trapped down there.
Yeah, vaguely I remember that.
Yeah. So I remember TASS was that was that was the only thing we could get any news on it because they didn't want to admit anything at first. But I think they asked for help to get them untangled and get them out of there. I remember that was a big deal. That was right around the same time San Francisco happened.
Yeah. I equate TASS with Hal Turner here. I mean, it's just nonsense. It's just like the Midnight Star or the National Enquirer. It's just, let's just make up stuff and print it because we
Dr.
can't.
Charlie Ward.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm suspicious of anybody that says, "Hey, we found something like that," for the simple reason that you wouldn't do that because you wouldn't want them to know that you found them. I mean, isn't that the whole story of Whitey Mack and the Lay Pond back in the 70s following the Soviet Yankee boomer? We didn't want them to know that we found them. We just wanted to be able to follow them, and it's crazy. I can't find a.
And that became a game for after that. I mean, that was a game for both sides. I mean, they were trying to do it to us too.
Yeah,
trying to follow our boomers out of Scotland and Rhoda, Spain,
and Bangor, Washington,
and Guam, and Washington.
That was always interesting to hear. You know, you'd pull out of there and you'd hear various types of sonars going, and it's like, who's got what? And of course, I didn't have any direct knowledge of this, but I understood that there were fast attack boats that were running interference for us as we would leave port and as we'd come back towards port. And I always wondered if that was A, I wondered if it was true, but B, I wondered if it was as exciting as it sounded, because it sounded like you were just playing chicken.
I heard the same thing when I was going out of Scotland. We had guys that would run interference for us.
What a great job!
If they caught us, If they got the restores, like if they caught up with you and you're on patrol, fast attack would swoop in and rescue you. But I don't know if that's true.
Well, I know from my own experience when we had our incident that there were no fast boats around us. So it was, but it was interesting. I know that there was a great deal of, so we were in Hawaii in '84, and this was literally a week before my qualification board. And we end up doing war games, and we're playing against two submarines. I probably shouldn't tell you their names, but it was and USS. Okay.
That's a great boat. Yeah. I know that one.
Well, an LA class and the 637 class. And one of those boats actually took a picture of us coming out of Pearl Harbor, periscope picture of us coming out of Pearl. And it's a beautiful picture. It's fantastic. Anyway, point is we were playing this game and I ended up in control for a week as a bearing plot recorder. Now, stay with me here because this really sounds stupid, but because it's a war game, they got to be able to reconstruct everything after the fact, right? So I have a piece of paper and a pen and a clipboard, and every 60 seconds they yell out a bearing, and I have to write the bearing down because we didn't have computers in those days, kids. We apparently didn't have tape recorders or anything else. So somebody has to write this down so that later on they can reconstruct how we tracked them and show our track to them to see if they really had us or not. So I spent a week in control the week before my qual board. And when I was talking to the captain,
I remember we had an 8086 computer, one of those real old IBM clones, and it had some tracking software on there, and that was like super new stuff. But you would look at that now, and you would think it's such a joke. And I know we just used it in conjunction, whatever. I don't think anybody trusted it. It was just something. Well, let's try it out and see if it works.
I told the captain later when I was talking to him about some other things, and he was asking me about this process. I said, the best thing for me right before my qual board was spending a week's worth of watches in control because I got to see how everything worked together. I got to hear everything happening. So if you want my advice, you'd put that on the qual card as a checkout.
Did you get to play with the bearing wheel? Like act like you knew it?
Yeah, I did every now and then, but my real job was just bearing plot recorder, just writing it down. So anyway, point is that I'm pretty sure based on what I saw in control for that week, that neither of those two submarines, the USS or the New York, could ever.
That one was a good one. Yeah.
Right. They never could find us. And in fact, at one point, we were doing a break trail exercise. So we're at known point. The is right behind us. They know where we are because we're radiating. We're making noise. And the guy says, COMX, commence exercise. And Captain Conway stands up. I'm in control, right? He stands up. He says, this is the captain. I have the deck and the con. Right 5 degrees rudder. Ahead 1/3.
Right 5 degrees rudder. Aye.
He calls the XBT room, the 3-inch launcher room, and he says, every 15 seconds, I want a water slug. And then at random intervals of about a minute, I want an XSXB, I want one of those noisemakers with a random delay on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we make this giant circle with a 5 degree rudder at 5 knots, right? At 1/3 speed, whatever it was. And every 15 seconds, our 3-inch launcher is going boom, 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 boom. And then there's random.
It's kind of like the dog there.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's random, at random intervals, there's this, the noisemaker thing. So one time it's 5 seconds. So it's over here, it's over there. It's over.
Right.
The last one of those they fired as we kind of completed the turn. It never went off. It had some sort of malfunction, and it never went off.
Right.
So we're just wandering off, and you can see on the plot, you can see the USS running in circles trying to find us. And this exercise has been going on for like an hour, and they already can't find us. Well, as we pull away, they start doing the circle, looking kind of thing. I'm watching this stuff on the plot.
Out.
And I think it was like an hour and 45 minutes after the exercise started. The last one of those things that we fired, the noisemaker that we fired that had the malfunction, went off back way over there. And they turned right back to it. Captain Conway was laughing his off. Like, he looked at that guy and I actually said, I bet you think I planned it that way, don't you? And the guy says, yeah. Says, okay, write that in your report. And he turned to the lieutenant, whoever it was. He says, you have the deck and the con. And that was it, man. It was fantastic. It was pretty amazing. And it was a great experience to learn that stuff that way. And I just, I can't encourage people enough. It doesn't matter what your rate is. It doesn't matter what your job is. You're a submariner. Learn about submarines. And that was,
I qualified to drive the boat my first patrol, and I would just go up and just relieve the watch once in a while. And I qualified sonar, so broadband, and go up there and hang out with those guys. Just to go do something different. I'd stay in 2 watches,
I loved hanging out in sonar. It's so relaxing.
When you're a 4-section watch, you got to have something to do. Like you've
already
been out 4 or 5. Yeah. 4 sections, yeah.
Dude, how do you end up in 4-section watch? What kind of slack? Ugh.
Man, it happened. I'm telling you. LOS.
I got to be in 4-section one time for a week as a weapons deck. That's it. I spent more time port and starboard as a fire control supervisor than I ever spent on 4-section watch. I mean, I did 3/4 of a patrol on port and starboard.
Is weapons tech like the soda and coffee getter?
Yep, pretty much. It's the weapons department messenger. That was a useless job.
Important job.
Somebody has to do it.
Like that was the assistant LOS.
I guess. I don't know. Whatever you guys call it.
For us. ALOS. Yep.
We would spend more as a fire control soup and launcher soup. You spend more time looking for the weapons tech than you ever did actually having him do something. Where the bleep is so and so. You find him torpedo room, engine room somewhere. It's like, dude, you're supposed to stay where we can find you because we might actually need you. Might. And not in 6 patrols did we ever actually need them, but you still look, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, since you're talking about that, I mean, did you have the other crew bag you on turnovers? You know, you find little bag items like screw you, blue crew.
Never in a negative way. There were humorous things. So we had that story a couple weeks ago about, was it the Wyoming that did the change of command at sea? And a lot of people on the Facebook page were commenting about how terrible this was because, you know, maintenance and blah, blah, blah. I can honestly say in my time, we never got sandbagged with anything. Now, there were times when stuff was broken.
Really?
But they never hid that from us. They never came back and said, you know, we had it, you got it. No, they would always pull us aside and do an actual turnover. And this is what's broken, magnetic disk files. This is what we've done so far. You know, we'd like to finish it, but we're not going to be here. So anyway, I can honestly say I've never had that happen. And to my knowledge, we never did it. Certainly not in weapons department. We didn't do it to the Blue Crew. Now, man, I've heard stories of
fun, man.
No.
Oh yeah, we'd be walking around. Go ahead.
That said, we'd leave surprises. I mean, you know, there was, you know, you'd pull pranks and stuff.
Yeah, you got to do did bombs.
Yeah.
You never knew where those things. Yeah, because every turnover, you had to be real careful, open up in a drawer somewhere, going
unseat a module here and there, and that kind of thing. But no, we never.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, to my memory, we never intentionally screwed over anybody. And I don't know. I've heard stories of that. I find them hard to believe. Maybe I'm naive, but that just seems tremendously unprofessional to me. If I know something's broken, I'm going to tell my counterpart because this is still my ship. And he's still, you know.
I guess we were unprofessional in Scotland.
Well, you know, land fleet. You know how you guys are.
The Blue Crew, man, they like they take pieces of paper up against a leaky valve, you know, and have little nice little sayings on it, something Goldie, you know.
But they didn't tell you that it was leaking?
Like Frankie Goldie, huh?
They didn't
tell you. No, because I mean, major items, yeah, they would, but something like that, because you're going to find leaks. Into the old boats had leaks all the time. I mean, you know, fancy tribes, you guys never had anything wrong, but yeah, we would have leaks here and there. I mean, that was a job of the road patrol. It literally walked around with the oily rag. If your rag was not full of oil and you got down rove and you didn't rove right.
You guys really believe that nothing ever went wrong on ours, right? You guys really believe that, don't you? Wow.
So we had, well, you know, so one surprise one time. So you had the launcher chair. So you got to think of the old launcher system. You had the two LCP panels out to the side. I mean, this thing was literally like, I don't know, 20 feet long. Somebody's going to say, well, I know the exact measurement. I don't remember the exact measurement of it. So you had the supervisor panel in front of it, and then you had, you know, the LOS chair right behind it, in between two tubes. And above it, you know, you had your mics and stuff like that. So for a week, I think, until we went out to sea trials, there was a stink. We could not figure out where. I mean, it smelled like doo-doo. When I say it, he couldn't even sit in the LOS chair. We're like, and we're just opening up drawers, tearing things out, like, you know, lockers. Where the heck is it? Couldn't find it, and you could not stand. You had to like sit aside from the launcher chair because you couldn't sit there. And finally, right above it, and people know it in these old books because I'm sure it's the same place. The 1MC speaker right above it. We open it up, and somebody did, you know, a number 2 in a paper bag and stuffed it up in there for us. Best one. True story. Now, can you beat that?
No, I can't beat that.
That happened on the Grant. So people listen to about the Grant, Gold Crew Grant. They know exactly what I'm talking about. This would have been 1990, 91.
Man, see, that would piss me off. I would.
Oh man, it was horrible. It was a bad one. That was a good one, and they were laughing about it. And our next turnover, they just thought that was the funniest thing. I think they got in trouble, got yelled at about it. I mean, yeah, I know people got upset about it, so they got talking to about it. But
ooh, not the dreaded talking to.
Yeah, they got to talk. I don't know if anybody got in trouble particularly, but
ooh,
yeah, we did something else pretty bad too. Man, we can't talk about the good stuff, man.
That's what I was going to ask. Wouldn't that lead to retaliation?
There was a retaliation. We painted the tube doors a color that really made the captain on the other crew look. I mean, so you had the sand beach missile tubes, and then we painted the missile tube access doors like I don't know, like a color of like your chest color. That's what we painted. So it looked like a bunch of anyways. So yeah, the captain got upset about that. Oh, and then there was another one too, Dave, while we're on it. The Mormon captain. I didn't find out he was Mormon, but we came back to turnover. And you remember there was always custodial of the classified magazines. What do you want to call those? Adult reading material.
Yes.
That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Porno locker.
That's where we'll go. Yeah. So you always had like the Don of that, the guy that controlled all that. So that was part of the turnover item. Well, it's gone. We come back there and say, where is it? And then everybody's reporting throughout the whole ship. Their stashes are gone too. So then he gets back and he goes, yeah, it was even worse. And I can't believe this would happen. I can't, to this day, I'm not really sure. But we did find out the guy was a Mormon, which, I'm a member of that church too. And I was laughing. And I said, I know exactly what it says. So he went through every single locker when he first became captain, and he got rid of stuff that'd been there since like when they built the boat. That's how long some of these things have been on there. These things are like historical items to the boat, and he just threw them all out, put them in the burn bag. So yeah, I heard he put the propaganda tapes on the mess decks, but I don't know if that was true. But yeah. As a matter of fact, if you go on navsource.org, his picture's up there. That's the guy I'm talking about. I can't remember his name offhand.
There's always that one guy, isn't there? That decides that he is going to, what's the word for it? He's going to, inflict his religious views on everybody. Right. I've never understood why, but we had that guy. It wasn't our captain. But we had a guy with my second captain who was a missile tech, but he was also, well, I call them thumpers. I don't know what you call them, but Bible thumping kind of guy, Yeah. The guys I'm talking about. And he decided to complain to the captain directly about
what?
About porn. And so the captain came out and said, and you could tell that the captain was like, I have to do it because this guy complained. I don't want to do it, but
right.
What choice do I have? And
at that point, I mean, you got to do. I mean, that's the job you're given. I mean, I'd probably like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. These guys are going to hate me.
Yeah. So he did. He came out and banned all the porn, and of course, this led to some rehash. And Eric Wise, machinist mate, A-ganger. Mm-hmm. It's the greatest comedian I ever knew. He decided this was intolerable. And so he went around to the private stashes that the CO couldn't ban, right? I mean, you got your own stash in your rack. Mm-hmm. Nobody can. Anyway, he went and got all the kids. This was a long time ago. So he went and got all the little novel books that he could find. So like Penthouse used to print novels, they used to put the prints with
yeah.
So he went and got a bunch of those. And then he had somebody else collect all the magazines that he could get. And then he went into the cruise lounge, and he sat at the front of the cruise lounge where the TV was that used to play the films. And he just started reading from the book. And then he'd have, for some reason in my mind, it sticks as Bill Thayer, would stand there with a magazine next to him and flip pages until he found a picture that matched what was happening in the book. And he would hold up the picture.
Yeah.
So needless to say, that band didn't last very long, but it was pretty funny.
No, it didn't.
So, yeah. Let's get off the porn.
I mean, that whole religion thing must work because, no, because I wanted to get to what I was going to say with getting off of that, but going to the religion thing. I mean, my best buddy that trained me on the Grant, He's a bishop down the street, Mormon church. Maybe, I don't know, maybe him and that captain, or it could have been, I don't know, the other material that got left around that I might have had there launcher. But anyways, hey, you remember you were supposed to come up with field day stories?
Come on, wait.
Yeah, I put one on launcher. Yeah, okay. There was one on band panel. It was right there. It was right there.
There's your mistake right there. I'm not gonna.
It must have worked. He converted to the church, or he might have been a girl that said either you convert or I'm not married yet. You know, well, you know that growing up in Utah, you know how that drill works.
Yeah, you notice I didn't marry a girl from Utah either.
I guess you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure she wouldn't marry me because I wasn't going to convert. So she ended up marrying a returning missionary, which is pretty much normal there.
Oh man, dating when you were growing up must have been big fun.
Yeah. Let's just say I was happy. I'm happy now. I'm a happy man today.
Happy man. That's right. This one is a winner for me. But you know, we're talking about your best field day stories. Did you ever get anything in the message line?
No, I never got anybody.
We're just talking about anything.
Nobody ever sent me their best field day, and I hate to waste my field day story with nothing to compare it to. Because I do have the best field day story. Nobody can top this one.
Because I don't really have any good field day stories that are iconic that I can think of.
You want me to just smoke mine? Do you want me to just smoke mine? Do you want me to just tell you?
If you got them.
So, middle of patrol, I'm thinking it was patrol 9. We've got a relatively new XO. And he's a good XO. I don't want to take anything away from him. He's a very good officer. He's one of the few, he's one of those officers. I wouldn't say few, but he's one of the best officers I ever served under, generally speaking. He certainly cared for the crew, but he had an obsession. And I don't mean a minor obsession. He had an obsession with cleaning ship. I mean, that was his thing. I guess it makes sense when I get to the end of the story. You'll understand why, but
I remember a few guys who was kind of like that. Yeah. They really got into it. Just clean freaks. Yeah.
Yeah. So the plan of the day one day has on a Saturday, because that's when we did it. Saturday morning is field day. So Saturday morning field day, 0800 or 0730 to 11, whatever it was. And then it has at 1630, it has clean up ship. And of course, because we're submariners and because we're smart Alex, people are commenting on this. Why are we cleaning up ship after we just finished field day? Right? And this gets back to the XO, who then, I don't know, I never found out who the yeoman he got to do it was. But the next day on the plan of the day, attached to the POD, which is posted throughout the ship, is a 4-page memo defining the difference between field day and cleanup ship.
Wow.
4
did a memo
pages.
Did a memo like that exist before, though? It couldn't have.
No. And to this day, if you ever hang around with guys from the Michigan Gold Crew in the mid-'80s, we will laugh about that memo. And we have a copy of it still stored in our BS log, which, as I understand, Ted Sear now has. That memo is still there, which is unfortunate because I needed a copy of this back in like 2008. I needed a copy of that memo and I couldn't find it. Because my XO, who wrote this 4-page freaking memo, right? I get a phone call one day from a good friend of mine who Navy affiliated, and he says, "Hey, don't you know this guy? His CV says he used to be the XO of the Michigan. It's Admiral John Greenert, who has now been appointed as the Chief of Naval Operations." So, being in the media, I called the Chief of Naval Operations office to see if I could get an interview with Admiral Greenert, the new Chief of Naval Operations. And this very helpful guy that works for him guy by the name of Danny Gonzalez, who happens to be a full bird captain, keeps saying to me, you know, you don't really have to call me sir. You don't really have to call me captain. You can just call me Danny. And I finally had to explain to him, no, sir.
I'm not going to call you Danny.
No, you don't understand. I said, and the other thing you need to understand is that Admiral Greenert is my XO. And he's like, oh. Yeah. So he goes into whatever he does. He calls me back like 30 minutes later. He says, Admiral Greenert would love to talk to you. And we set up a time.
Really?
We arranged the time, and we did it. We did an interview. It was one of my favorite interviews of the whole time I was on air. But of course, I bring up that memo, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, sir, and you know I got to ask you about this memo. And he's like, what memo is that? I said, the 4-page memo about the difference between cleanup ship and field day. And he says to me, he says, well, Bowman, I know you guys laughed about it a lot. He says, but you're hosting a radio talk show host in Modesto, California. I'm chief of naval operations.
I told you again. The field day memo is still in effect.
Dang it, sir. You're right. So I'm going to get busy cleaning up studio here as soon as we're done. Because it's not day for field day.
How many patrols was that in effect for? That memo hang out for a while?
He was there. He was there from patrol. Let's see. I did 3, 5, 7 with Walker. So he was there 9, 11, and 13, which was my last week. He was there after I left. And in fact, like I said, he was a great guy. Patrol 13, I was actually supposed to get off earlier we were doing an ORS at the end of the patrol, and they needed racks. Well, since I was leaving anyway, I was off the watch bill for like the last month of the patrol. And I was supposed to get off. In fact, I bought football tickets to see my beloved Broncos play the Seahawks in Seattle that year, which was supposed to be in there. Right. And then the captain changed his mind, said, nobody's getting off. We need everybody. So XO argued for me. We lost. And, we had a long conversation after that. And he gave me some really good advice that was very personal. And I took it to heart. And at the end of the day, he was really good. Both of my XOs were really good. But I really like Commander Walker, Admiral Walker, as he is now. And he was very gracious to come on the show and talk about those things. And it was fun. And I appreciate that.
Cool. What's the chance that, a submarine XO becomes a chief of naval operations years later? I don't have any good stories like that.
Eventually everybody's somebody's XO becomes chief of naval operations, but man,
that's true. That's the way it works. You got to be XO at some point, right?
Yeah. So we did get an email, though. We didn't get any field day stories. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe we did. Maybe we did get a field day story. Hang on. Yeah, we did. So we got an email here from Skip Weil. I sent you this, right? He's Missile Tech, second class, 12 years active, 28 years in reserves. Was on the James Madison when she ran aground in the Charleston River, pulling out of the weapons station on Easter Sunday. I don't remember that, but at any rate, he also did a tour on the Henry and Jackson. Joined in 1980. He says, I'm a troglodyte because I got a smartphone about 3 months ago. Anyway, I just heard your podcast. He picked up the last episode, the OOD podcast, and was hooked. You guys are awesome. Right. Really enjoy your show. Thank you. We appreciate that. And he did give me 2 field day stories. Our XA would start field day off with battle stations. Ed did most. After sounding the alarm, he would play Flight of the Valkyrie over the 1MC.
That's awesome.
He would give a long explanation as to why we were launching. For instance, the Red Country, the bad guy, had bombed all the breweries in the Blue Country, the good guys. So there would be no beer when we returned to port. So that's why.
Oh, yeah.
I never understood all the noise of field day. So you're on patrol, right? You're on alert coverage. You have to be quiet. Shh, don't make any noise.
But
run this vacuum cleaner. But run this vacuum cleaner for 6 hours. That's what we're cleaning everything.
I got a vacuum cleaner running in the background right now. This is good. That's good background noise for this.
Anyway, you want to send us an email? You can email me, dolphindave@slipperyfish.com.
And you can always email me, eric@thesubvet.com.
Or check us out online, facebook.com/groups/ the subvet.
And then when you see the podcast or see the video or hear the podcast, got that backwards, smash the like buttons and all that doodad stuff and
Download,
make a comment.
Like, share. Yeah. So Jonathan Tooby, the spy guy with the peanut butter sandwich. Remember him a couple months ago? He pled guilty to sending that. Because of the plea agreement, he'll get 12 and a half to 17 and a half years in prison.
Right.
He was facing life in prison, but because he pled guilty, he's only going to get 12 to 17.
Wasn't his wife involved too, or was it?
Yeah, she was involved too. His wife was arrested. She pled not guilty, so she's going to go to trial, I guess.
Nice.
So how does that work out? I mean,
because it was all his fault. That's how that works out. Oh, I hope my wife doesn't listen to this. It wasn't me, it's him.
I think you'd want to go together on something like that, wouldn't you? Either we both plead guilty or...
I guess they're going to get divorced over that.
You're
supposed to plead guilty too.
Yeah, oh man, I bet that wouldn't go over well.
Yeah.
You get conjugal visits like that?
Yeah, I bet they're not even allowed to talk together. Maybe, I don't know. Today is a new era. Anything can happen. Maybe
I would think you would have to if you're co-defendants in a case. I mean,
maybe they get relocated to Arizona after this for their jail time and made to live in a small town or something that they don't like.
Does he survive the 12 years? The 12 and a half years?
Yeah.
He does.
I don't
know. I know John Walker. He survived his until he died in prison. Nobody got to him. Right. Not advocating that. I'm not saying anybody should do that. What I'm saying is I was a little surprised by that.
What happened to his son, though? His son got cut.
No idea.
Too.
Michael Walker? Mike Walker?
He was the aircraft carrier.
Yeah, he was on the Nimitz, wasn't
he? Yeah, one of them. One of those airplane carrying ships.
But he wasn't a bird farmer. So yeah, Michael Walker, let's see, was released in 2000 after 15 years. He goes by his middle name now, Lance, and he works as an artist in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Well, there you go.
He's a cool dude now. Everybody loves him.
He and Hunter Biden, man, making art.
It's right. I don't even want to know. That's a good one.
You see where the Royal Navy's newest submarine, HMS Anson, performed its first dive? Did you see this?
Yeah.
In the dock. They have this huge enclosed dock area, and it just dove in there.
Yeah, I've seen that before. They test it right there.
That's so bizarre to me because we don't do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
No, man.
It's a big fat sail, too. What the heck they got all up in that sail? And where they got like a car they can go on, drinking on the beach or something?
The turtleback is weird. It kind of looks like an old boom.
Yeah, it's got like an old Camaro type look. It kind of dives down a little bit.
I just think that's weird that they in the dock like that. We don't do that.
They boast it's better in the Virginia class. That's what they say.
Well, then the Russians should be putting out a memo saying we found the Anson. We found the Brits' new submarine here pretty soon, right?
No, they can't find that.
Just the Virginians.
Just the Virginians. Well, field day's coming this way.
Field day's coming this way. Well, then we better secure field day, or secure from battle stations commence field day.
Here from battle stations missile commence field day.
Yay! And make sure you like, download, and share. And we'll see you next time for
the Subvets.